Good afternoon, everyone.
as well.
My
So
name
you
is
gotta pick
Nikhil
the clock
Sinha.
because it
I'm the
said 15
Chief
minutes.
Executive Officer of GSVlabs. Could I have the next slide, please? GSVlabs is an innovation services company. We're located in Silicon Valley and have about 300 startups in our ecosystem. We work with both early stage companies and we work with large corporations as well to support their internal innovation needs. As I said, we support enterprises and we support entrepreneurs. Our mission is to empower entrepreneurs and democratize innovation around the world. We do that by providing them incubation, investment, and acceleration services through our innovation centers in Silicon Valley and in Boston, and through our latest online platform that delivers our resources to entrepreneurs around the world. But I'm not here to talk about GSVlabs today. That was just an introduction. I'm actually here to talk about the innovation imperative and why innovation today is not a nice to have, not something that companies should be aspiring to, but in fact, it's now an imperative that is necessary for companies' survival. Innovation is important because things change, right? This was coast-to-coast travel 200 years ago. This is coast-to-coast travel today. This was Detroit 100 years ago. With the founding of the automobile, the development of new technologies was taking place in the heartland of America. This was Silicon Valley at the same time 100 years ago. This is Detroit today. It's actually an unfair picture. Detroit isn't as bad as what the photograph suggests, but I think what it suggests is that technologically, it's a ruin, right? And this is Silicon Valley today, right? This is at the heart of the innovation landscape of the world. This is where the new ideas that are emerging. In 100 years, we have completely changed the location of innovation. And I want to make the point that going forward, that's going to happen even faster and faster. How has this happened? How have we gone in 100 years from Detroit to Silicon Valley as the capital of innovation around the world? Well, in 2015, we observed the 50th anniversary of Moore's Law. Somebody tell me what Moore's Law is. This is an interactive session. We're going to do Moore's Law. Yes, thank you. Yeah, the number of closed-circuit transistors you can put on a chip doubles. He began by saying every year, then said every 2 years, but it happens in a very short period of time. What are the consequences of this taking place? Mind you, it's not a law. The important thing about Moore's Law is not a law. It was a prediction that bent an industry to perform in a particular way. And over the course of that year, you can see this is what you're seeing is the development of new computing chips that continue to accelerate the amount of power that they have. The consequences of this are that the cost of computing in the last 25 years has gone down to almost nothing compared to where it used to be. And at the same time, same thing has happened to the cost of storage, which has also plummeted in the last few years. This combination of the dropping of the cost of computing and the cost of storage has led to the development of one of the most important current technologies that technology companies are using. Can somebody tell me what that is? What is the combination of the drop in computing costs and the drop in computing storage costs lead to? Mobile, and mobile is generated off of cloud computing, right? So we could take all this now and really massively build the infrastructure to be able to store data and deliver data anywhere we want on any device that we want. As a consequence of this, the computer that the Apollo 11, you've seen the movie, this is the year, 50th anniversary. The computer that the Apollo 11 mission used to be able to send people to the moon has less power than the iPhone that is in your pocket right now. And that is the consequence of what Moore's law has been able to deliver. And if we keep going, we expect that by 2025, we will have computing power that will be able to process more information than the human brain. Keep going. This is where we are. Can you take the next one? Yes. Thank you. We are here, right? We're at a point where we are still more powerful than the devices that we are creating, but if the speed of innovation continues the way it is, we are no longer going to be in that position. This has had consequences for industries around the world, including the telecom industry as well. In 1990, the cost of a 10-minute long-distance call in the United States was $15 a minute. Today, it's free. Right? We have over 4.5 billion phones now around the world. 4.5 billion cell phones around the world, which is more than the number of toothbrushes that we have around the world. Just keep that in mind for a second, right? Keep going. Internet access, 3.7 billion, 2.6 billion smartphones, 258 billion app downloads since Apple launched its App Store. This was St. Peter's Square in 2005, maybe about 15 years ago, no, about 10 years ago, and this is St. Peter's Square today, right? Thank you. Everything is smart. As a consequence of this, everything is smart. We've got smartphones, smart watches, smart cities, and even the water is smart in this age. Why does any of this matter, right? That's all technological speed, but why is that important? Here's the market cap of the 5 biggest companies in the world in 1968: IBM, AT&T, General Motors, Standard Oil, and Kodak. These are the 5 companies with the largest market caps in the world today. Apple, Alphabet and Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, every single one of them is an information technology company, and none of them were in the top 5 in 1968. Many of them hadn't even been founded at that time. The next two, number 7 and 8, are Alibaba and Tencent, and these companies didn't even exist 10 years ago. This is Kodak, one of the oldest and greatest names in technology, founded in 1888. And this is Amazon, founded in 1994, more than 100 years after the founding of Kodak. This is Kodak now. This is Sears in 1994 with a market cap of 16 billion. And this is Sears today. So you have Kodak and you have Sears, icons of American and global commerce, essentially bankrupt in the face of technological evolution, while Amazon today has a market cap of over $800 billion, founded in 1994. The impact of this just across the retail sector has been phenomenal. $186 billion of market cap down to over $80 billion of market cap lost. So if you don't disrupt, if you don't innovate, and you don't do it fast, you'll be left behind. And lots of companies make the mistake of losing sight of the future. So that's the first takeaway I want to leave you with. Innovation is an imperative. It is an imperative for companies to survive. It's an imperative for industries to survive. And it's an imperative for nations to thrive. And in the absence of innovation, we'll be left in the dustbin of history. The second thing I want to tell you is innovation is accelerating, and it's getting faster and faster. Yeah. Time to reach, at GSV, we have a concept that says, how long does it take for an industry to touch 50 million people? So we're going to do a quick pop quiz. I'm going to name an industry. You tell me how long it took that industry to be able to touch 50 million people. The airline industry. How many years did it take the airline industry to carry 50 million passengers? 68 years. Next, telephones. How long did it take telephones to reach 50 million subscribers? Yell it out, doesn't matter. 50. Well, very good. 50 years indeed. How long did it take electricity to be touching 50 million people? Any guesses? 46 years to reach 50 million people. How long did it take the computer to touch 50 million people? Sorry? 15? Very good. That close enough. 14, you win the prize there. How long did it take the cell phone to have 50 million penetration? Right. Let's take a look. 12 years for the cell phone. How long did it take Google to have 50 million users? 3. Any other guesses? 6. Close enough. Who is that? 7 years. How long did it take Facebook to get 50 million users? 3 years. Very good. Exactly 3 years. How long did it take Twitter to get to 50 million users? Took Twitter 2 years to get to 50 million users. And the next one I won't ask because it's such an important and significant technology and the fastest that we've seen ever that I thought I might just tell you myself if you change the slide. It took Pokemon Go 50 million users in 19 days. So that's the second takeaway that I want to leave you with, which is the pace of innovation is accelerating, is exponential. We can't wait and see that it's not going to happen to my industry and it's not going to change here, it's going to happen. That's the second thing. One, innovation is critical for survival. 2, innovation is getting faster and faster. And the final thing that I'll tell you about, that innovation is now spreading around the world. This is the old global innovation map. One more. This is the old global innovation map, right? We're going to go from west. We're going to keep traveling westward. London, risk isn't my cup of tea. From London, you get to New York. In New York, of course, New Yorkers think they know everything. So if it hadn't been done in New York, it couldn't be a good idea. Keep going. In Minneapolis, in the middle of America, everything is show me. So prove it to me before I even support you. And of course, in San Francisco, where I'm from, we were always interested in writing the check. But then innovation began to spread as well. And if you moved to China, you began to see the development of ideas that may not have been very original, but were very, very big, very, very quickly. Right? So that's the old innovation global landscape. But there is a new global Silicon Valley emerging. Silicon Valley was the heart of global innovation for the last 30 years, but that is changing very quickly. What we're seeing is that global innovation is taking place now around the world. In Europe, in London, in Paris, here in Luxembourg with Tomorrow Street, and the work that's being done over here, but certainly in many, many pockets around the world. This is why we at Silicon Valley have written the Global Silicon Valley Handbook. We believe that in order to understand innovation and its impact today, we have to look beyond Silicon Valley. We see Silicon Valley now not as a place, but an ecosystem with a set of cultural practices, methodologies, tools, and capabilities that can be deployed around the world. And therefore, we're in the business of building this global Silicon Valley, bringing the innovation mindset and the innovation ecosystem to all of the emerging places around the world. Essentially, GSVlabs, which is the company that I run, engaged in the process of connecting Silicon Valley to the world and the world to Silicon Valley. Thank you.